Yo, it's locked and loaded, grinding for commission. Clients getting funded, that's Nick and Anthony's vision. Tune in, real talk, no clone, we on it. It's the vibe, it's the grind, it's locked and loaded.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Locked and Loaded. And today we have a very special guest with us. Her name is Daniela Voci from First National. Let's welcome her, people.
Thank you.
Thank you
for coming
out.
How's it going, guys?
It's good. Another day here, It's a fashionable Thursday.
Good. Love it.
Yeah, we're feeling it. A great
Breaking
day.
news, Anthony.
Yeah.
It's Tuesday.
Oh, we're trying to change the days.
They don't know.
I know, that's why I said Thursday, Tuesday.
That's why I was going to say it's Thursday. I'm like, oh, we must be filming for a Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Yeah,
I was like,
so
it's
back
Tuesday,
to that,
honey.
it's Thursday
Yeah,
today.
okay.
This
Got
nice
it.
Thursday, the sun's out.
It is
Yeah.
Thursday.
It's good. It's pretty good.
A little cold.
Glad we're all here together, and I'm really glad you came out for us.
Thank you. Thank
Absolutely.
you for having
Perfect.
me. I'm excited.
It's gonna be a good one. I'm feeling this one.
Okay.
So we're gonna dive right in here, and we just wanted to, talk a little bit about, how things are, brokers, the relationship. Give us some of those stories. Fill the people with some of the needs that they, they're really looking for. And we just want to know, what do most brokers misunderstand about how lenders assess files?
Okay, so brokers and lenders, the relationship's really important, obviously. It's important to have a relationship with your business development manager. It's important to have a relationship with the agents. It's important to have a relationship with the underwriters. I think that it obviously makes the deals go through a little bit smoother if you're able to pick up the phone, have a conversation, all that kind of stuff. So I think that that's a big facet of it, for sure, is being able to have a strong relationship, have a laugh about it.
I didn't even say anything. You're already laughing. Oh.
No, I know, because we're not sponsored by Kimbo, so I just wanted to turn.
I was going to say,
turn
no,
the
we have
cup.
to turn the cups in? Okay,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
keep it covered.
turn the
Okay,
cup. We don't
just
want a
keep it
lawsuit.
covered. Okay, no.
It's great coffee, though.
It is delicious, yeah. Always come by for a bro here.
Yeah.
It's Bro with the Bros. That's the second segment.
Exactly.
Okay, there we go.
Go on.
So you're talking about, obviously, the importance of strong relationships with the broker and the lender. Yeah. When brokers are sending in files to First Nat, like what stands out? What makes a strong file stand out for you guys?
I think a strong file obviously comes from reasonability, overall risk. The clients, I think obviously we're not dealing with the clients you are, that's where we come in obviously into the middle of it all. Conversation of, you got to know your client, you've got to know the customer, you've got to understand the deal. If we come back to you with questions, not humming and hawing, and being prepared to be able to answer the questions, I think a lot of us worked in the bank. I think we all worked in the bank actually. KYC, right? Know your client, know your customer. And it's really important to be able to share the story, give us the conversation. Is it a purchase? Is it a refi? What's going on with the deal? Not just, a note that says, please approve, right? Like,
so strong notes.
Strong notes is a big part of it for sure. Give me a story, but not a novel. Like, give me facts, give me the straight goods rather than trying to upsell and give me this whole long story. Give me truly what the deal is. And if there is hair on the deal, like, or if there's a conversation that needs to be had, maybe income's hourly and it's not salaried or whatever it is, call me. Let's have a conversation. Tell me more about it. Let's try to piece it together. But also having a strong relationship again with the underwriters and the AMUs, the doc person or whatnot, is also important to be able to have that strong partnership to be able to pick up the phone and call them. Yeah, for sure.
If I'm not mistaken, you guys, as a bank, you guys look at the full package up front.
We we submit the deal, we look at the file overall, we look at your application, we match it to the documents, and then kind of go from there for sure. But the underwriter will look at it, issue a commitment based on the application, and then that'll go to doc review. Yeah.
Perfect.
What would you say some red flags are when you get a deal?
Red flags are, inconsistencies in the income, right? So if we're getting a job letter and then, the pay stub doesn't match that income, whatever that might look like, that's one thing for sure. We do Google review, like we do Google search, we do look up clients, got to be careful with that. Overall risk assessment is really important. I think in today's environment where, housing prices are coming down a little bit, what's evaluations look like, things like that. You do got to be careful with overall risk. So definitely taking that into consideration. Yeah.
And what's like a common mistake, if you would, that you see from like the brokers when they're submitting a file into First Nat?
Common mistake, it's not necessarily a mistake. I would say it's the lack of notes sometimes in terms of not giving enough. Like I mentioned earlier, you got to give.
Notes are important.
Notes are important. Yeah, notes are important. Give me a little bit of information. Tell us a bit about the story of the client. Again, I don't need to know that they're, 3 kids or, their birth dates and all that stuff, but just give me enough of the information to be able to understand it. Is there strong income? Is there assets? Is there overall strength to the deal? Why are we looking at it? Is there a ratio exception? Great. Okay. Tell me more about it. Why are we over? These types of things. So again, conversation is really key.
So, given the recent change in the market, and a little bit of the hot and cold of kind of everything that's going on, what are some of the biggest changes, your industry, your, I guess, company has implemented for rules, guidelines, things of that nature?
Yeah, so there hasn't been any specific policy changes or guidelines, but the risk changes overall in terms of like tariffs. Is it an industry that's been affected? How are we looking at that? Do they work in automotive? Things like that. You consider it a little bit differently. What type of employment do they have? Are they full-time? Are they contracted? Things like that do definitely make a difference. But we haven't made any changes to actually implement. It's just you look at the file a little bit closer overall in terms of, what's happening with it overall. Yeah.
Cool. So would you say like lenders are a little bit more cautious in a certain...
I would say the lenders are a little bit more cautious. I think the risk has changed. I think I've noticed more with home evaluations coming down a little bit, overall risk of loan to value. Like, if we're going to go up to 80%, maybe we're going to ask for some credit cards to be closed. I think people are taking on a little bit more sometimes. So just changing it up. A few years ago, there was the stress test. That was a big, oh my God, why do we need it, et cetera. But when we look back to COVID, when rates were so low, the stress test actually did exactly what it was supposed to do.
Yeah, I agree.
And in the moment, everybody was kind of like, oh, I don't know, it doesn't really, whatnot. But here we are, and it's actually
right.
perfectly aligned. So I think we're just trying to be overall a little bit more risk conscious, but not declining files or anything of that nature, but just being a little bit more conscientious of, is the home prices going to stay in this market? Are we going to do, a refi to 75? We always did rental refis to 75% loan to value before this. So we were already a little bit, maybe not conservative, but just a little bit more conscious, and that's something that we did years ago. And then, it was always like, oh, but why can't we go to 80? Well, here we are in this market, and here, it makes actually sense. Exactly.
Yep.
So there's these little things that have been put in place long before where we got to today that I think obviously has just made it a little bit easier and better for overall risk for the clients. Again, you don't want clients to be put in a position where they can't, nobody doesn't want people to be in their homes, right? So that's definitely the place that we're trying to mitigate all that, right? So for sure.
So do you see any, I guess, headwinds or anything concerning for clients when it comes to like renewals, that sort of thing? Or would you say, it's kind of business as usual?
I was going to say business as usual for sure. There's a lot of talk about like, defaults, but they're so historically low that, if there's a little slight uptick, well, then they're saying, oh, it's up 200%. But 200% from one, there was very little, right? There's this big notion of defaults coming out, but it's not really, there's not many. It's just that the percentage obviously looks massive, but if you actually look at it, it's few. It's very, very few.
Bad news sells, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The media does a horrible job of selling the housing market for sure.
That's why we're here to tell you the truth.
Yeah, definitely.
What separates the top 10% of brokers from everyone else?
I think the top 10% of brokers that are more successful, right? If that's, So I think that overall, being prepared, knowing your client, understanding the situation that the clients are in. If it's a quick close, why is it a quick close? Where did it come from? Have you done your due diligence? Have you Googled them? Have you done, so all the things that an underwriter would do, you're kind of doing beforehand. And not expecting you to underwrite the file by no means, but having an understanding of what the deal is overall really does help be prepared. And I think that definitely separates.
And on the Google point, it's so funny. I never, well, now I do, it's part of my process, but before I never used to Google my client, and then the underwriter's asking me, well, why did your client come up with so-and-so, or going to LinkedIn, why does LinkedIn say that they work at, ABC company
Yeah.
and you're submitting a deal saying that
It's
they're
your
a principal.
diligence. The internet
or
is
whatever.
there for us,
Yeah.
and it kind of does help. And
Use it as a
you know,
tool.
sometimes, yeah, you've got to look at it. You do have to add it to your checklist of things to do.
yeah.
Is just know your client, because you'd be surprised, right?
I got Google
Sorry,
on my work belt.
We just got another question
call?
from not a question from one of our
Listeners,
viewers.
sorry.
It says, "You guys are great, long time subscriber." LOL. I don't know what that means, but what is the craziest deal you've ever seen get approved? I mean, obviously without sharing customer information.
Yeah. No, of
But,
course not. Of course not.
Let's hear it.
Customer deals. I mean, we're on the prime side, so they're not as crazy as the alt side for sure. Things are a little bit more, we like to color outside of the lines, but at the same time, we got to keep it pretty,
boxy.
Yeah, a little bit, right? But I had a really, really low loan to value with really like heightened ratios. It was 50-50 on the A side, but it made sense, right? Mm-hmm. She was selling her home. She was a lawyer. All these different things that played into it. Strong assets, all these different things that really play into the deal. So there's definitely a way to get deals done.
Hey.
That's something that I think
gotta make sense, right?
Has to make sense. It has to make sense. I think brokers have this notion that lenders don't want to do deals sometimes, or they're, oh my God, they declined it. There are policies, there are guidelines, and I think sometimes it's not to hurt anybody. It's not to not do the deal. It's to protect the client overall. There's a reason for it. And if it doesn't fit on the prime side, there is the alt side, right? We have Excalibur. We have that option to be able to send that deal there and get it done. Mm-hmm. So we're not looking to ever really just say no and go away. It's, how can we make it work? And if it doesn't work on our side of the business, we have the other side that can help with it for sure.
For sure. Sometimes I feel like a common mistake that we make is, we get a little too passionate about the client.
Yes.
And it's like, we're getting together with them and like, this is my partner now, and what I mean, like we're presenting it.
Which is great.
It has its pros and its cons, obviously, right? So sometimes I feel like
that's also what makes you a successful broker. You asked the question about top 10% of brokers, and that's something that makes you a strong broker, is to be able to have that relationship with them and to be passionate about the deal, for sure. Yeah.
So we talked about Googling our clients.
Yeah.
We talked about strong notes. What are some of the other things, more specifically Anthony, but what are some of the things the brokers can do to make
our lives easier?
Your lives easier, exactly.
I think give us the straight goods.
Okay.
Give us the strong facts, give us the goods. So again, comes back to notes, but also on top of that, being doc ready, in the sense of if the underwriter is going to ask for a doc, that you've either already got it or that the clients have it. Not that they got to go back to their accountant and get it prepared. And, all these things. That's a red flag. Those are the little things that do create the red flags of the conversation, right? So it all ties together overall, right? Is it being a great broker, but also the red flags? Ironically, is if you're a good broker, then the red flags don't typically come up because you've already mitigated them. Exactly.
No, for sure.
So that's definitely a strong point, for sure.
Awesome.
So very, Daniela, you got a very special job, kind of like a little superwoman over here, but, you have the opportunity to work on both sides because, technically we look at you as like one of our partners, and obviously you're a partner of First National. Give us a little, or give the viewers a little insight of kind of the day in a life and, what you do and how important you are for us and obviously for the institution.
I like that, superwoman. I like that. I like that. So as a business development manager, obviously you're kind of out there, not just developing business, but fortifying the relationships. I think we talked about, obviously, the strength of relationships. You have a strength of having a relationship with your client. The client's your client. What First National is looking to do is basically get them into their homes, whatever they're trying to do, refi, switch, purchase, transfer, et cetera. And overall, the partnership comes to being able for me to be able to identify what First National does, and then you're going to be able to identify if the client's the right fit for us, and that's where we come into play. So you're going to give me a call. We can talk about the deal. Always have a great chat. Come by First Bro, whatever it is. But we're able to have that conversation, and then from there, you find if it's a great fit for First National, whether it's the prime side or Excalibur, and then we go from there. And if it's Excalibur, you speak with one of my colleagues or whatnot, and we just make sure that it's a great fit.
All great people,
right? If it's a graduation, if maybe they're in the alt space today, but then they're going to move to the prime space, we can kind of talk about that. Conversation either with my colleague or with myself. I can give you kinds of tips or tricks about it and then kind of move forward from there. So I think that that's really important. First National has obviously been in the business for nearly 40 years and only in the broker space. You know, we're not looking to cross-sell, we're not looking to do anything of that nature. So it's really important just to have strong relationship with our broker partners. And overall, it makes us a strong lender in terms of not being a bank. We are Canada's largest non-bank lender, which is actually really massive. It's huge, yeah. And so it gives us the opportunity to be able to present that to clients. And then you're going to go back to your client, explain to them who First National is and why to work with us and, you know, and place their mortgage with us.
That's why I wore some green today.
I love it.
For First National.
I noticed.
It's the little things, right?
I know. I was going to
Thursday.
say, I noticed. I'll have to get you some socks for, I should have brought them. Darn.
You don't see the socks on the film, okay?
Okay, got it.
No, joking. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We talked about my socks before you got here. That's why.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
On that point, though, do you find that when brokers reach out to you, run the deal by you, and I could tell you from our side, I think it helps, but from your side, the lender scope, if you would, do you find that there's more success in getting the deal done when, you know, you spend some time up front talking through the deal before, you know,
I think it surely
throwing
helps.
against
I
the
think,
wall, if you know what I mean, right?
definitely. You know, when I see deals get thrown against the wall, I get frustrated in a sense because it's like, why didn't you call me? Like we could have talked about it, right? You know, you have my number, you call me, text me, email me, DM me, whatever it is. You can
And you're
find
very
me.
responsive. I can attest to
Yeah,
that.
like I think it's just the biggest part of being a BDM is being responsive, right? So even if I'm busy in something in this moment, shoot me a text, I'll call you the minute I get out of it, right? Or whatnot. And I think it's really important because I always think of it as if I was the consumer looking to get a mortgage and you're my broker, I'm calling you about something, you're calling your BDM, and if you don't get back to them, there's that other person waiting for a response. So it's always, yes, you're my client and I'm looking to call you back, but at the same time, I'm always thinking about who that other person is on the other
that
side.
end user.
Exactly.
Yeah,
you're
for
doing
sure.
something for somebody else, essentially,
we
right?
got the human on the hook, right?
Yeah,
That's what I try to say all the time.
and I think that definitely makes the big factor is being able to call, like to be able to be responsive, get the information back so that you can make that decision for your client, whether it's with us or with another lender, but you know, ideally with us.
No, for sure. It's good to put the broker experience as well as the client
100%.
experience together. So
At the end of the day, I'm an end user too, right?
Yeah,
Like in the
of
sense
course.
of, you know, you want to be able to get everything done and wrapped up and make everybody's lives a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day and
thank you
spending
for
with us. You've
having
always been a
me.
great
Supporter.
partner. You know,
Absolutely.
as Anthony mentioned earlier, you know, you're super responsive. It goes a long way with us, you know, and, you know, really just thank you for that partnership on behalf of
appreciate you.
ourselves, on behalf of our brokerage.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you for having me. It
Sure
was
would
a lot
love
of
to.
fun.
Yeah,
Yes, we love
Sherwood sends love always. So,
Cheers.
all right.
Yeah.
Salute. Thank you.